Okay, now we can start. So, I hope yesterday class was, fruitful. So, firstly, we'll do. Today, we'll try to touch a bit on Shakespeare. I think everyone knows and loves Shakespeare, so obviously. Um, Shakespeare wrote a lot of plays. Okay, Shakespeare wrote a lot of plays, not only plays but even sonnets. Right? Everyone knows he wrote hundreds of sonnets. Some popular ones included. So tonight, I would rather say tonight, we'll try to um, identify some important plays of his, and I'll give you the chronology. I'll just paste it here. Yeah, just once. So in the chat, just give me any play you know by Shakespeare. Just give me. I'll give you 5 seconds. Just type in first Macbeth, right? Macbeth. Then continue. Hamlet. Okay. Then what else? I need some interaction, guys. Some interaction. Okay. So we'll quickly do it. This like time moves so fast. We'll start with the tragedies. Okay. We'll only do the well-known ones as of now. Tragedies. Like I said, we won't explain the summary and everything. As of now, our main focus is on the chronology. Okay, like year of publication chronology and what type of play are there. Okay, like is it a comedy, is it a tragedy, is it a historical play? So we'll focus on the tragedies first. Tragedy first is Romeo and Juliet. I think everyone knows this, Romeo and Juliet. Okay, Romeo and Juliet, you can jot it down. Okay, you can write it down. Romeo and Juliet was published somewhere in 1595. Okay, 1595 somewhere. When I put C, it means Sarka. Sarka means somewhere. Not exactly sure, but somewhere that time. Romeo and Juliet definitely is one of the most popular tragedies here, and it's one of the first tragedies of Shakespeare. Okay, and second we have Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. Okay, Julius Caesar. SAR Julius Caesar was written somewhere in 1599 to 1600. Okay, so see, I'm going in a chronological manner, like from the earliest to the latest. and the third, and the third will be Hamlet. Okay, Hamlet was written somewhere 1600 to oh 01. Okay, 1601 somewhere at this time. You just remember at what year. Like, does Hamlet comes before Romeo and Juliet, or which one is more earlier? Which one is more early. You just know that. Next is Othello. Othello is somewhere in 1603 or 4, somewhere at that time. And King Lear. I hope everyone knows King Lear. It's just such a beautiful play. King Lear was somewhere around 1605 to 1605 to 6. Okay, 1605 to 6. So now you can see how it comes. Romeo and Juliet was the first, then Julius Caesar, and Hamlet, Othello, King Lear. Okay, these are the important stuff, like how you're going to do. This is what we refer to as smart reading. And next comes Macbeth. Okay, Macbeth was somewhere in 1606, and Antony and Cleopatra. Okay, Antony and Cleopatra. This was somewhere written somewhere in 1606 to oh 07. Okay, so these are the major tragedies. Just let this sink in for like 5 to 10 seconds, just once. You can't see screen. Can you see the screen? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen or not. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. So let this sing it. Romeo and Juliet is the first, then Julius Caesar, Hamlet. Memorize in this way, okay? Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra. Because in December cycle, the last cycle, 2024 December cycle, there was a question asking to rearrange, okay, Shakespeare's play in chronological order. So they can give you like 3 4 plays and they'll let you arrange it in chronological manner, which one is the earliest, which one is the latest. So just note it this way. You don't need to memorize or know the whole place, like every place of Shakespeare. You don't need to know that. The most important thing is just to know the sequence. Okay, Romeo and Juliet is one of the first, and one of the latest is Antony and Cleopatra, and Macbeth is somewhere in the the later part of Shakespeare's career, I would say. So now I'll move on. What should be the next? Next will be comedies. Okay, comedies. Let's do comedies. Comedies means that is meant for laughter. Okay. What do you mean by tragedy? Do you know the meaning of tragedy? Tragedy is, in simple terms, what? Titanic. Titanic is a tragedy, right? Why is it Titanic is a tragedy? Because the protagonist, let's say for the movie itself. Okay, we're not talking about the true story, whatever. For the movie itself, the protagonist Jack died, right? So it's like a sad ending, right? So comedy on the other hand is meant for laughter. Okay, tragedy means like Gladiator. I think you know Gladiator, right? In the end, the hero died, right? Russell Crowe died. Or if we're talking about like novels, plays, example Macbeth. In the end, Macbeth died, right? Macbeth died. Macbeth is the protagonist and the antagonist at the same time. Okay, because in the beginning of the story, in the beginning of the play, Macbeth was, like a brave, he was like a brave general, right? And because of his greed, his pride, he was trying to fight, or like he was trying to have this kingship, I would say. Yeah, so he killed Duncan along with his wife, and he became corrupted, and at the end he died. So in a way, he's also like a tragic hero. So what I meant to say here is like Macbeth is like a very good example of tragedy, because the main character Macbeth died at the end, and it's like a sad ending, sad. So comedies, number one would be a Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay, A Midsummer Night's Dream. This was written somewhere in let's only write like the estimation. Okay, 1595. So if you see here, Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer Night's Dream was, in the early part of Shakespeare's career. The next is The Merchant of Venice. It was somewhere in 1596. So now you know the sequence. Okay. Next is Much Ado About Nothing. This was written somewhere in 1598. Okay. Then what else? The Twelfth Night. 12, TWELFTH. Okay, yeah, Twelfth Night was written somewhere in 1601. Okay, so 1601. And next will be As You Like It. This was written somewhere in 1599. Okay, we're not entirely sure, but we'll write 1599. Okay, it might be later than Twelfth Night or somewhere within that. So just let that sink in again. So now you have the tragedies and the comedies, the most popular ones only. Okay, now I'll repeat. Tragedy means um, where the hero or like the main character dies at the end. Okay, if we're talking about like classical Greek tragedy, there are so many elements. Okay, what makes a play a tragedy? There are so many things. We won't go too much into that. Like for example, if you have read Aristotle's Poetics. Okay, I have finished that. I have given so many lectures on that already. He made so many criteria for a play to be considered a tragedy. That is known as the Greek tragedy. Okay, like Greek tragedy should have this hamartia. Okay, like a fatal flaw. For example, in Macbeth, what is the hamartia? Hamartia means fatal flaw. Okay, fatal flaw means like a big mistake done by the main character. Okay, so in Macbeth, the fatal flaw, the hamartia, is that Macbeth became too corrupted, right? He became too corrupted, and he became too ambitious. We would say, like he really tried to become the king of Scotland, right? And he was so determined that he achieved his ambition, whatever it takes, even if it meant killing King Duncan, right? So that this is fatal flaw. Why is it? Why do we consider it a fatal flaw? Because when he killed King Duncan, like he was haunted by it, because in the history of the world, right? As we are Christians as well, in the history of the world, like killing someone is never justifiable, right? Like killing someone is never like the right thing to do, right? So even in the play, when he killed him, he was so haunted by it. He regretted so much, he felt so much guilty. And like when he killed it, like there were so many consequences, right? Like uprisings were there, like people were trying to overthrow him. At the end, it cost him his life, okay? So his mistake, his hamartia was killing King Duncan, that he became too ambitious, became too proud, okay? So like that there are so many elements, okay, but we won't go too much into that. Those stuff are like mentioned in Aristotle's Poetics. So maybe, tomorrow night or maybe next week I'll try to go those stuff, like some classical like concepts and all, but tonight we won't do that. So comedy, if we go to comedy, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Merchant of Venice, Much Ado for Nothing, The Twelfth Night, As You Like It. Okay, these are the five comedies. And if you see the works and all, so most of them are written somewhere within like 1595 to 15 1595 to 1605, somewhere within that. Okay, so it's a 10-year span. Within this 10-year span, he wrote most of this stuff. Okay, within like a 10-year span, 10-year, 12-year span. So next we'll go to historical plays. Okay, so there are different types of categories. Next we'll go to historical plays. What do you mean by historical play? Historical play means, as the name suggests, like something that has to do with history, real life. Okay, historical plays. So historical play number one would be definitely Richard the Third. Okay, Richard the Third. Richard the Third was written somewhere in 1592. So you can see here that historical plays he wrote it like Thora, like a little bit on the earlier side. And next will be Henry the Fourth. Okay, Henry the Fourth. Henry the Fourth. And this should be part one. Okay, part one specific. 1597. Okay, 1597. And historical plays Henry the Fifth. Okay, Henry the Fifth. So if you see, these are the names of kings. Okay, that rule at the time. So he talks about their life and everything, like a political critique and all. Like if it concerns something that has to do with like political life, history that really happened in real life and all. So it's a historical play. So this was written somewhere in like 1599. History plays will only do this because he's not really known for his history plays, but rather like tragedies and comedies, right? So we won't really dive much into it. And like the later romances, okay, like he wrote like romances at the end, in his like late stage. These are like last yesterday's classes. Wait, I'll write the later stage here. So big. Late romances, okay. Late romances, later romances, okay, we'll say the thing he wrote before he died and all, like in later part of his life. The Tempest, have you heard the Tempest? It's a nice play, okay, it's such a nice play, like Caliban and all, Prospero and all. Have you heard about it? Caliban, Prospero, like some magical elements are there as well. Ariel and all, it's about that, okay. The Tempest, he wrote this very late, okay. So he wrote this after he wrote Macbeth, King Lear, everything. So this was somewhere in like 1610, okay, somewhere. Well, at sea, because we are not entirely sure, circa 1610. And the next is the Winter's Tale. So if you can see the trend here, okay, you can see the trend here. 1610, you can see the trend here. So whatever comes in your mind, just remember that the Tempest is like a later work of Shakespeare, okay. He wrote it very late, okay, very late. And Macbeth, King Lear, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, all this stuff are his early works, and later works are The Tempest, The Winter's Tales, okay, The Winter's Tale and all. So I hope you can digest this. You don't really need to go in depth, okay. Like maybe after two, 3 nights, I'll try to go like some important characters of popular novels and all, okay. Like we'll try to delve a little bit on like the one I have just mentioned, like let's say Tom Jones, or like very iconic characters that we have known, right? um Maybe sometime soon. But tonight, as of tonight, we will focus more on like the works and all, and when was it published and all. These are so much important in so much important in like UGC context, UGC net context. just wait. Now now let's do a little bit of history of English literature, okay? Because you can't skip this, okay? You can't skip this. You can't go past history of English literature as a literature student. It will help you a lot, although it may or may not come directly, okay? But it will really redefine how you think about how you picture English literature as a whole. So we will do history of English literature now. When you think about history of English literature, what comes in your mind? Like, I think for me, if someone asked me that question, I would say like Chaucer, right? Geoffrey Chaucer, he's such an iconic guy, right? Geoffrey Chaucer is such an iconic guy. So history of English literature. See, we're moving so fast, okay? Yet like we're touching every nook and corner, I would say. If we're not doing like this, we won't be able to cover so much topic. So firstly, what topic would come to your mind? So we'll go like step by step from the earliest to modern context, okay? One should be all English era, okay? All English era. I'll explain everything. All English, or you can say like Anglo-Saxon period, okay? Anglo-Saxon period. Um, Now we will try to write like important works, important authors from here. So does anyone know like how English came into being? See, in the olden times, okay, in the olden times, the English that we currently speak or the English that we currently know doesn't exist, okay. So when Germanic tribes, okay, like some Vikings and all from Scandinavia countries and all came to what we now known as like UK, okay, so they started invading that, and there's a very popular war there, the Battle of Hastings, we should say, right? Or like, anyone knows about that? Does anyone know about history? See, English literature is so interesting because um, you are doing history, you're doing anthropology, you're doing philosophy, you are doing linguistic, okay, at the same time, okay. It's so vast and so interesting. So whenever we're doing about history of English literature, we have to talk about the history of English people as a whole, okay. So there was a very famous war or like a battle, okay. So it's called Battle of Hastings, and it's also called as the Norman conquest, okay. Norman conquest, the Norman conquest. I won't go too in depth on this, but from this battle, okay, from this battle, everything changed. History as we know it changed, okay. So this happened in like 1066, okay. Norman conquest of 1066. Just know these names, okay, because this stuff won't really come, I don't think so, but just for general knowledge, okay. So now I'll talk about so German, like I mentioned, Germanic tribes, okay, like Vikings and all that we mentioned from Scandinavia countries came here, okay, in what we now refer to as UK, okay, United Kingdom, and they settled in Britain, we'll say. Okay, so when different tribes meet each other, like they change the whole landscape. Okay, like new language started forming, like all English, the one we know, started forming from there. Okay, Germanic tribes settled in Britain after the battle. Okay, and Christianity was introduced. We'll say Christianity was introduced. um and see it at this time, oral tradition was so important. Oral tradition was so important, like telling stories from mouth, right? We have so many like oral traditions in our tribe as well, like we have chura and all. I think like galngam ralngam, we have all this stuff, right? Like lindo unao, all those stuff, so many stuff. So those are oral traditions, okay. Oral traditions means stories or folk tales that come from the mouth, or like that's transmitted from generation to generation by mouth itself. For example, your grandma, your grandpa will tell you some story about chura, sura, ralngam, galngam, and maybe you'll tell your children about it again. Okay. So oral tradition means stories that are developed or like transmitted from the mouth from generation to generation. This is how us as tribes, okay, like in specific our history is formed, right? So it's so important. Similarly for these people, okay, during the time of Anglo-Saxon period, oral tradition really played a role. Oral tradition was dominant, okay, dominant will say. Poetry of, and what was the topic of the oral tradition? See, if we talk about that type specific, our oral tradition is mostly about like legendary figures like Lalrung, Lalruanga, and all, or what else? Like so many stuff, right? Like heroic figures, like some sorcerer or something that may or may not be, a real person. But mostly when we talk about like at oral traditions, we mostly refer to about like some dominant figure that was so, like powerful, so strong. And so similarly for them, their poetry was heroic or religious, okay, heroic or religious, heroic or religious. The topic was on this, okay. We're going very fast. Maybe after this exam we'll go slowly in depth, okay. If you still want to join, you can, I'll explain everything about this. But since like we don't have really much time, see, like 20 minutes have passed already. So like the important work here was Beowulf. Have you heard about Beowulf? Beowulf is so important. Why do we consider Beowulf so important? Because see, Beowulf is one of the first work, okay, that we know that exists in written form, okay. The stories about some Germanic tale, okay. See, just keep this in mind. If Beowulf, something is asked about Beowulf, just remember that it has something to do with Germany, okay. Some Germanic tale, okay, about some dragon and all, and like the villagers are trying to fight about that dragon. So we never know who is the author, okay. Author is anonymous, okay. Beowulf, the author, we don't know who is the author, but it's so important because it's one of the earliest existing texts, okay, on literature. The story is about some Germanic tale, okay, some heroic tale. There is someone who defeated the dragon, okay. So it's one of the earliest surviving manuscript that we find, okay. And it's an epic poem, okay. Just keep this in mind, epic poem, and it talks about heroism, like some figure who saves the village from, like a monster. Heroism and monsters, okay. So just get that Beowulf is very important here, okay, in all English era. Although we don't know who is the author is anonymous. And have you watched The Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings, or have you watched what is that sequel, or like rather a prequel? What is that? I just forgot. What's the prequel of Lord of the Rings? Just type in the chat. Like I won't Google it. Prequel of Lord of the Rings. Like those dwarves and all. I think you have watched the movie already. I'm waiting for your text. Oh, I remember. It's Hobbit. Okay, I just Google it. Hobbit. I think you've heard. So the writer of Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, took influence from Beowulf. Okay, so J.R.R. Tolkien. I think you have heard about J.R.R. Tolkien, right? He's a very famous like British writer. He wrote The Lord of the Rings, and so he took influence from Beowulf. Okay, he's a historian. He was a historian. Like he studied linguistic and everything. And when he read Beowulf, he was so inspired by it. Okay, and he wrote The Lord of the Rings. Okay, so there's just a side note that's not important for your exam, but just a side note. And next, what else? We have so many stuff, okay. um the wanderer, this is another one, the wanderer. And the seafarer, okay, the seafarer, these are like all English texts, okay, all English texts, just for your memory. It's probable, okay, like this stuff can also come. It talks about exile and all, and loss, exile and loss. And another important work is Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Okay, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Um, it's a historical record under historical record compile. under King Alfred. I guess you have watched the movie or like the series Merlin and all, right? So it's still very related to this stuff, okay? Merlin and all those stuff. So now I've mentioned four works, right? Beowulf, The Wanderer, The Seafarer, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Okay, these are all English texts. Okay, any questions asked related to all English, this stuff will come. Okay, this stuff will come. Of course, I can't go too much in depth. So now we'll move on to what? We'll move on to Middle English. Okay, Middle English. All English is not too much important because we have only few surviving texts. Okay, there's not too much to ponder upon. So this is generally like after the Battle of Hastings. Okay, I've mentioned the Battle of Hastings or the Norman conquest of 1066. Okay, so it's generally within this era. Just memorize this era. Okay, it's so important. um so Norman conquest happened, okay, from 16066. Norman conquest. Just remember, okay, Norman conquest. Norman conquest of 10066. After this, it's considered the Middle English period, okay, Middle English period. So just remember this 1066 to 1500, okay, 1500 AD. Just remember that. And there was so after this Norman conquest, there was so much influence on English language and literature, okay, influence on English literature and language, okay, because like I said, those tribes, okay, different communities started flocking together, and like the language, the English that we now know was born from here, okay. And there was a rise of chivalry, that we say chivalry and courtly love, would say. Just a description, quick description, because obviously I can't go too quickly. And from Old English to Middle English, okay, now it's Middle English. There's a slight variation, okay. From the Middle English period, Old English, started fading away, and a more developed English we now know as like Middle English started developing from here. And what else? So important to know, okay. I'll go step by step. And here comes Geoffrey Chaucer, okay. Geoffrey Chaucer, this guy is so important. He's called what? The father of English literature, okay. Why is he called the father of English literature? There's a question, okay. Geoffrey Chaucer, the father of English literature. Why is he called? See, I'll give you like a quick hint why Geoffrey Chaucer is called the father of English literature. Because, like we have mentioned, right, during Old English era or during the early Middle English period, whenever people write stuff, okay, they always write stuff related to religion, okay, like gods, goddesses, heroines, or some mythology related. But when Geoffrey Chaucer came, he was one of the first to write stuff about the status of the people, about the peasants, about the life of kings, okay, like normal stuff, okay, that happen in day to day life, that we can find in the Canterbury Tales, okay. So he was one of the first guy to like introduce English as a whole, because in the olden days, like French language was considered like very prestigious, okay. People consider, oh, French language is so like highly, okay. And like he was so like courageous, I would say. Like he really changed the landscape by writing like the social status of the people. If you read the Canterbury Tales, all the tales, okay, he mentioned anywhere from the knight's tale to the peasant's tale, like every need of the society, in every nook and corner of the society. And from there, like people like us, we can learn about the life of the people there, okay. We can study history from his writings, okay, like thousands of years back, right? So that is one of the reasons why he's considered the father of English literature, okay. So he wrote, what did he wrote? He wrote Canterbury Tales, obviously. Canterbury Tales. Okay. What is it about? It is a collection of stories by pilgrims. Okay. Pilgrims on a journey. Okay. And you can consider this work a social satire, okay, a social satire, because it talks about social life, okay, like how lives are so different between two individuals, like So next, what will I do? Geoffrey Chaucer, obviously Canterbury Tales. And next, what else? Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Okay, this is also a popular work. It talks about like Arthurian romance. Okay, Arthurian romance. King Arthur and related Arthurian romance. Just in brief, we'll write like this: Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Just remember like this. What else? Pierce Plowman. Okay, Pierce Plowman. This is written by William Langland. Okay, William Langland. Just remember these names. Just remember these names. Pierce Plowman is written by William Langland. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The author is anonymous again. Okay, we don't know actually who is the author. So now we have three works for Middle English literature: Geoffrey Chaucer, Canterbury Tales, Sir Gawain and Green Knight, Pierce Plowman by William Langland. And next, Everyman. Okay, Everyman. This is a morality play. Morality play. Okay. Now we'll move on quickly again. Um, because time is moving so fast. Let's go to the Renaissance. Okay, the Renaissance. So you can like give a quick timeline of somewhere from 1500 to 1660, let's say, till the Restoration period. Okay, so Renaissance, the Renaissance period. During the Renaissance period, what do you mean by the Renaissance? It's definitely like a rebirth. Okay, rebirth means like um they revive. Okay, they revive like classical learning, like in arts, in culture. There was a revival of those stuff. Okay, so it was known as the Renaissance. So basically we'll write rebirth of classical learning. Okay, like arts, culture. And important stuff here are like let's say humanism. What do you mean by humanism? Oh, let it be here, etc. So I'll give you like a quick hint here. See, before the Renaissance, okay, before the Renaissance, eh, like most, if not majority of the works, uh, it's mostly about like how do I say, God related stuff. Okay, it's mostly about like God related stuff, like religious stuff and all. It was so common. Okay, except Geoffrey Chaucer's works. So during that time, most individuals, most people place their emphasis or like place the center of the world on God. Okay, they say, "Oh, God is great. God is like the supreme authority of the world, the universe." Every text was based on that. But from Renaissance, okay, humanism started forming. What do you mean by that? It means the emphasis started to become on humans. Okay, like humans can do this stuff. Humans, humans are empowered. Okay, like humans can do so much. Okay, so writing started to develop around the like the capability of a human. Okay, like things started revolving around what humans can do. Like we are strong, if we are ambitious we can do this and that. So see, like one popular figure of Renaissance is William Shakespeare's, right? So if you look at William Shakespeare's works like Macbeth, obviously see the character Macbeth, he's so ambitious. He thinks that he can do everything, right? He can do this, he can do that, he can become the king, he can rule the world like that. So it is a reflection of Renaissance theory. Okay, it's a reflection of Renaissance concept. Okay, or for example, if you look Christopher Marlowe. Okay, Christopher Marlowe, Dr. Faustus, I think you've known that already. If you look um, Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus is such an ambitious guy. Okay, he thinks that he can do everything. Okay, he even challenged God. Okay, in the story he challenged God. He says that like he made a deal, a pact with God, with Satan, right? With Mephistopheles. So it's a reflection of the Renaissance thinking. Okay, so see, if you know about the era, you come to understand more about the writings and all, it always reflects. Okay, now we're talking about Renaissance, like it talks about humanism, reformation, and if you look the works and all, definitely it reflects a lot. Okay, like I said, in Renaissance, the focus is on human capability. Okay, like humans can do this, can do that, and so if you look at works, it's mostly based on that. So printing press was introduced here. Okay, printing press was introduced. Since printing press was introduced, there were so many books, okay, like published and all. Now you can print books and all, and now like there are so many publications going on. Okay, this is an important event. And there are sub periods. Okay, sub periods means things that happen here, but Elizabethan age. Okay, within Renaissance, everything is within Renaissance period. 1603. So what happens here in Renaissance period? Sorry, in Elizabethan age, William Shakespeare. Okay, this is the era of William Shakespeare. Okay, William Shakespeare, Queen Elizabeth. Okay, this is the age of Queen Elizabeth. So he produced works like Hamlet that we mentioned, Macbeth, Othello, Romeo Juliet. Okay, all these things were born during this time. Okay, during the Elizabethan age. So just know these are. This is a sub age. Okay, Elizabethan age is within the Renaissance period. Okay, that's within the Renaissance period. And next, what about and Christopher Marlowe, the guy? Okay, do you know that Christopher Marlowe died of like opium addict? Okay, the guy died very young, and he has like very few works. Okay, Dr. Foster is one of the most popular works of his, and Edmund Spenser. Okay, Edmund Spenser, the fairy queen. Okay, the fairy queen. See, I hope you get it. How important is it to know the historical context? Okay, see, I can't just explain like William Shakespeare was in this era, Christopher Marlowe was in this era. If I just say that, you will have like a very short term understanding of it. Okay, but if you know like the historical context, like in the Renaissance period there was a rebirth of learning, humanism was there, then you started to know so much. Okay, so read the historical context, it's so important. Okay, and next, well, now another sub period, I would say, is a Jacobean age. Okay, Jacobean age. This was somewhere, this is still within the Renaissance period. Jacobean age was somewhere with 1603 to like 1625. Okay, so it's still, like I said, this is still within the Renaissance period. And who are the prominent writers? Ben Jonson. Okay, Ben Jonson. Just remember this, Ben Jonson. And this guy wrote Volpone. Okay, this is the work. Ben Jonson was within the Jacobean age. And what else? And even Shakespeare was still involved here, but most of his later works only. Okay, Shakespeare's um what, like the Tempest. I told you the Tempest is a late work. Okay, or like King Lear. The Tempest, King Lear. Then what else? Like metaphysical was so popular here. Okay, metaphysical poetry, rise of metaphysical poetry, let's say. Okay, I hope you get it. Elizabethan era, Elizabethan age, Jacobean age. And some people used to like talk about like the Caroline or Commonwealth era. If you want, you can add this as well, the Commonwealth. Okay, it's not a popular like age, we don't really like do it. Yeah, this is somewhere between like until the Restoration period. Okay, restoration of the throne. 16, just keep this in mind, 1660, just keep in your mind, this is the Restoration age. Okay, and before this era is the Renaissance period. So here we see authors like John Milton. Okay, or if we, before this, if we want, we can write like civil war happened. There was like such movement like Puritanism and all. I'll go quickly because see, time is moving so fast. Won't be able to explain too much. If not, we see like John Milton here. Okay, John Milton, he's a religious guy. Okay, John Milton is a religious writer. He wrote so many stuff, but most of them are related to like religion. Okay, like for example, Paradise Lost, it's a very popular work. Paradise Lost, it relates to, it's not the same, okay, but it relates to the story of Adam and Eve. Okay, it has like 10 books. Even in UPSC they used to ask this. Okay, if you take optional English as optional subject, um, John Milton Paradise Lost is one of the syllabus in UPSC civil service exam. Okay, so it's so important. And if you want to know, like John Milton, in his later part of his life, he became blind. Okay, so he wrote like a sonnet, a beautiful sonnet. Okay, wait, let me just Google it just once. I forgot the name. John Milton sonnet about something blind. Okay, it's a beautiful. Yes, when I consider how my light is spent. Okay, when I consider how my light is spent, so this sonnet is based on his relationship with God. Okay, he became blind in his later part of life, but he was such a religious guy. Okay, like very, how do I say, like very dharmic or very like gospel, I would say. So Paradise Lost is definitely one of his like um one of his best works. And like we see like cavalier poets. Okay, cavalier poets like Robert Herrick. Okay, Robert Herrick, Richard Lovelace. They can ask you about like cavalier poets and all. Like anything can come from anywhere. Okay, anything can come from anywhere. But we are just doing like a quick history rundown. Then the Restoration period. Okay, Restoration period. We'll do till Victorian age. Okay, because we can't cover everything with this time. I have to do like a quick rundown of British poetry as well. So the Restoration period, like I've mentioned, keep this in your mind always. Okay, 1660, the throne. Okay, the throne was restored here, so it's called the Restoration period. Okay, 1660 to 1798. Just keep this in your mind. It's so important, the Restoration period. Until this, before this was known as the Renaissance period. Okay, from 1500 to 1660 is the Renaissance period. From 1660 is the Restoration period, the restoration of the throne. Okay, the crown. So monarchy was, there are so many like problem here. Okay, we won't go too much. Like there were some fights between different parties and all. Okay, monarchy was restored. Okay, people who don't want the monarchy versus those stuff and all. Charles the second was restored in 1660. Okay, this is the king that is restored. That is why it is called the Restoration period. Just keep this in your mind. Okay, just keep this in your mind. Restoration period, monarchy was restored. Who is the king? Charles the second. Okay, 1660. And it is the rise of enlightenment. Enlightenment. Okay, like novels started to appear from here. Okay, it's still not like very prominent, but novels started appearing from here. Okay, novels started appearing from here. And here you started seeing like John Dryden. Okay, John Dryden, what did he wrote? What did this guy wrote? Absalom and Achitophel. So Absalom and Achitophel. Okay, this is one of his famous works. Is there like a spelling mistake or what? Why is it? Okay, Achitophel. Okay, so this work is written by John Dryden and William Congreve. I think you'll know this guy. I think this guy is included in Manipur University's syllabus. Okay, so in BAMA you'll definitely come across this guy, William Congreve. Way of the World. Okay, this is a comedy. The Way of the World. Okay, The Way of the World. Just keep this in mind. All this stuff, all these people are within the Restoration period. Okay, Restoration period. And if you go further, like neoclassical, this is a sub. Okay, this is a sub era, neoclassical or Augustan age. This is still under Restoration period, like somewhere from 1700 to 1745. It is a sub. Okay, so not a new era. you find people like Alexander Pope. Okay, the guy Alexander Pope. What did this guy wrote? Rape of the Lock. Okay, Rape of the Lock. Rape of the Lock. You know about this story, right? How one girl's, like his hair was cut and all those stuff. But it's a, it's a satire. Okay, mock epic. It's considered a mock epic because um, what do you mean by epic? Epic means a long story that's very lengthy and it talks about like very heroic stuff and all. Okay, like Odyssey, okay, Odyssey is an epic, okay, or like the Mahabharata, all this stuff are epic, okay. These are so long, and the topic it talks about are like very like grand, majestic, like wars fought between like gods, goddesses, and all. What do you mean by mock epic? Mock epic means mocking this epic stuff, okay. Mocking epic. What do you mean by mocking an epic? Since epic talks about heroic deeds like grand fights, victories, wars, and all. In mock epic, they delve on like topics that are very ching. Very ching means that are very how do I say, very minute, very, like how do I say, like that are not worthy to like even talk about, or something that is very ching. I think you know the word ching. Like even in the Rape of the Lock, the whole story talks about one boy cutting, hair from that girl, and the boy saying, I own this girl already, and the girl is feeling so embarrassed. So she's like asking the spirits to help her, retrieve all this to punish him. So it might look like an epic, but it's actually like a very ching version of epic, like a chapri version of epic, or like um, very distorted version of epic. They are like mocking the epic, so it's called mock epic. Okay, I hope you get it, the meaning, like almost like an epic but very ching version, like a downsized version of epic. So, and one of his work is essay on criticism. Okay, so you need to know all these words like mock epic, what does it mean, what does epic mean, what does a tragedy mean, and all those stuff. But I can't go every nook in detail. Okay, Alexander Pope. Then who else do we have? Who else do we have? Jonathan Swift. Okay, anyone knows Jonathan Swift? Very famous book he wrote is adapted in a movie where Jack Black. Okay, Jack Black was the character, like the main character in the cast. Gulliver's Travel. Okay, the guy came to like an island where everyone is small, right? Lilliput in the nation of Lilliput. He went there, but everyone is so small and he's like a giant there. That Gulliver's Travels. Okay, and Daniel Defoe. Okay, Daniel Defoe, like Robinson Crusoe. Okay, Robinson Crusoe is one of the early English novel. Okay, like I said, novels started appearing from here now, but it's still not popular. Early English novel. These stuff are important. Okay, any question can come from these stuff. Like mention any early English prose and all, like or like they can let you arrange in chronology again. So now that you know Jonathan Swift is a neoclassical writer, you can know he's very much later than William Shakespeare and all, right? Like you can just have that in your mind. And what else? What else? What else? What else? Let me think. Age of sensibility is there. Okay, this is also another age again, but still within the what? Within the Restoration period. Age of sensibility. Okay, age of sensibility is somewhere within like 1745 to like 1798, and this talks about what? It's a pre-romantic, like we are coming to romantic era. Okay, it's just before romantic era, so like some romantic elements started appearing from here now. Samuel Johnson, we see Samuel Johnson here. Okay, Samuel Johnson is a doctor. Okay, Dr. Samuel Johnson, like he was like a pioneer in like making of the English dictionary. Such a great guy. A dictionary of the English language. Okay, this was published in like 1755. And next, what do we have? Like Thomas Gray. Okay, Thomas Gray, elegy written in a country church yard. Okay, elegy written in a country church yard. Okay, just keep it in your mind, everything. Then like let let this to be enough for age of sensibility. Then let me think. Now we'll go to romantic era. Okay, romantic era. Let's say romantic period. This is another period, and this started basically like 1798 to like 19 no 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 1837, somewhere around there. And a very famous people started appearing here. Okay, like who? William Wordsworth. Okay, William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, all these people started appearing from here. So now you know, like between William Shakespeare and William Wordsworth, there's so much gap. Okay, so many years are there. So don't try to associate the two of them together. Okay, don't try to like associate the two of them, because like there are so much years behind them. Romantic period, it is a reaction, let's say reaction against industrialization, enlightenment, enlightenment rationality, let me say. Okay, romantic period. And it has emphasis on what? Emphasis on nature, emotion, imagination, and individualism. Okay, individualism. So I don't have the time to explain everything, but in the romantic period, a huge thing changed. Okay, a huge thing changed. What did it change? Um, they say that like rationalism is no more important. They're saying, okay, what do you mean by rationality? Rationalism. Rationalism means, for example, if you talk about like I can drink all the water in the ocean, that's not a rational statement because you won't be able to do it. Okay, like for example, I can pull down the moon. You can't do it. Okay, so it's not rational. Rational means things that are like achievable, or like things that are like the truth. Okay, or like that can be achieved in real life. So in romantic period, they don't really care about rationality. Okay, they don't care about whether things can be done or not. They're saying like if the author feels that he can do, if the author feels that he can talk to flowers, he can talk to the clouds, then let it be. That is his imaginations. Okay, there's no boundary. So that is basically the romantic period. Okay, and they give more emphasis on nature, like William Wordsworth. If you read his stuff like Tintana Bee, Daffodils and all, like I Wander Lonely as a Cloud. Okay, or like the Solitary Reaper and all, if you read that, it talks mostly about nature. Okay, and he does so many things about personification and all. Like he talks to like the daffodils as if they were humans, talks to the cloud as if they were like living beings and all. Okay, so these are all the elements of romantic period. Okay, I can't explain too much. And it was influenced by the French Revolution. Okay, French Revolution. Time will be up now, and let's write about the key poets. William Wordsworth. Okay, William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, S.T. Coleridge. Okay, so they wrote. What did they wrote? This is a very like important work. Lyrical ballads. Okay, lyrical ballads. They wrote these during this time. This was done in around 1978. Lyrical ballads. Okay, lyrical ballads. Just keep that in your mind. Such an important thing. They wrote about like the elements of like romanticism and all. And if you talk about like Lord Byron, okay, Lord Byron, he wrote stuff like Don Juan, okay, Don Juan. J is silent here. And let's say more works like P.B. Shelley. What is the full form of P.B. Shelley? Percy, uh, by C. I don't actually know how to pronounce it. P.B. Shelley. We'll just say it, okay. P.B. Shelley. Let me write P.B. Shelley. You know, like Ozymandias and all, right? Ozymandias, and like Ode to the West Wind, Ode to the West Wind. Okay, these people came from here. Like these are romantic writers. Okay, writers from the romantic era. And what else? Like John Keats. Okay, the guy writes so much on like nature and all. Ode to a Nightingale. So many more examples, but I'm only writing few. Like Mary Shelley. I think you know this. Mary Shelley. She wrote Frankenstein. Okay, Frankenstein was published somewhere in like 1818. Okay, she started like introducing Gothic fiction. Okay, Gothic fiction. You know, Gothic means like putting so much eyebrow, long hair, and all. But in the olden age, it doesn't necessarily talk about. It talks something like something dark, deep. Okay, like something ghost related, haunting and all. So she's a pioneer in Gothic fiction. Okay, Frankenstein, like some dead guy, they made him alive again. Okay, and what else? Like Jane Austen. Jane Austen started here. Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. Novels started appearing from here now. Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. Okay, they are talking about like social critique and all. Like they're talking about how marriage is, you know, like in a patriarchal society, how marriage is bad, how women are forced. All this stuff they started talking now. Like the focus has changed so much already. Like about family and all. I'll go to Victorian period, then we'll wind up. Okay, it's so quick. Time is so quick. Victorian period, the focus is on novels from here. Okay, 1837 to around like 1901. See, we are covering so much. We are covering like the whole British literature. Okay, from here. We'll try to do Indian, and last night we did a little bit on Indian. Maybe next night we'll try to do a little bit on African and American as well. But tonight we are focusing mostly on British literature. Okay, British literature. And during this, it was the like the reign of Queen Victoria. That's why it's called the Victorian period. Okay, reign of Queen Victoria. Queen Elizabeth and all, they're already dead. Okay, reign of Queen Victoria, and Industrial Revolution was there. Like people started making like stuff in industries like factories and all. British Empire was very high at this time. Okay, and they focus more on like realism and all. Like they are talking about social issues and all, like family problems and all. So major novelists. Okay, like I said, the focus is on novels. Okay, here major novelists are like Charles Dickens. Okay, Charles Dickens. What does Charles Dickens wrote? Like Great Expectations, Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, Tale of Two Cities, Tale of Two Cities, Oliver Twist. We'll write more. Oliver Twist, David Copperfield. Okay. Then who else? George Eliot. Okay, George Eliot. This is actually a pseudonym. Okay, pseudonym. Do you know the meaning of pseudonym? Fake name, fake name. Because at this time, like women writers were, like they didn't really welcome women writers. So her real name is Mary Ann Evans. Okay, this stuff comes in the exam. Okay, what is the real name of George Eliot? They can ask. So Mary Ann Evans is the real name. Even Mark Twain is like a fake name. Okay, Mark Twain. Mary Ann Evans, Middlemarch. Okay, Middlemarch. What else? Like Thomas Hardy. So many stuff to write. Okay, tests of the Ubervilles. Ubervilles. I think the spelling is right. And like Jude, the obscure. Okay, obscure. Who else? Who else? Who else? Just think about it. So many stuff to write. Okay, so many stuff to write. That we don't have time anymore. It's going to be 9 now. Charlotte Bronte. Okay, Charlotte Bronte. The Bronte sisters. Jane Eyre. Okay, and who else? Her sister Emily Bronte. Wuthering Heights. Right? Important people. This. Mm, who else? Oscar Wilde. Okay, Oscar Wilde. I'll wind up to that. Oscar Wilde, like the picture of Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray. What else? What else? The importance of being earnest. Okay, all this stuff. So many stuff to write. Like so many novelists are here. And who else? Um, Poets. Let's go with poets. These are novelists. Before our novelists, like let's go to poets. Alfred Lord Tennyson. Okay, Alfred Lord Tennyson. In Memoriam. Okay, in Memoriam. The Lady of Shalott and all. No, spelling is not correct. Who else? Robert Browning, right? Robert Browning. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I think the spelling is right. Matthew Arnold, right? So many stuff. Wait, let me just remove this. Um, oh. Next would be like Matthew Arnold. No, Matthew Arnold. So Matthew Arnold wrote an important work. It's known as Dover Beach. Okay, Dover Beach. Okay. So we'll do up to that because it's already 9. I really want to continue, but I have another classes as well. So I hope the class is good for you. How was your experience? If you like it, please give a thumbs up. If you like it, please give a thumbs up. And I record the whole session. Okay, I record the whole session. So if you want to go back, you can just watch it again. But please don't really share with your friends and all. Okay, just for you guys. So that'll be it. Okay, and I just want to ask, like, tomorrow is Sunday. So do you think you'll be able to take on Sunday? If you're able to do on Sunday, or should we like just give a thumbs up if you are able on Sunday night? Just give a thumbs up if you're able. What about Mochi Moy, Elena, Israt? Sunday night, can you guys do it? Okay, they'll be it for tonight. Okay, good night, everyone. You can leave. Good night, good night.